All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the September MSCC All Hands meeting. For those of you who are new, I am Leslie Jones, Director of Program Development for the MSCC. Happy to have you here. Our discussion today, as we noted in our announcement, is about AI, which I'm sure is something that is on the minds of everyone who is working in higher ed at this time. This topic covers so many different things, from the way we teach to the way students interact with each other, submission of work, wide range of things. So we're going to be discussing it. We'll probably be continuing this discussion in other meetings, and I know it's going to be something that we will be talking about at some of our workshops that we have in the future, as well as our annual meeting, which will be taking place next May. And hopefully you all will join us. So our agenda for today, starting off with introductions, and then highlights of a few other things before we get into our presentation. First, as we always do, in addition to welcoming everyone, if there's anyone who is new, this is your first all hands meeting, or maybe you've participated before but didn't introduce yourself, feel free to unmute and go ahead and tell us who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, definitely new. So my name is Peter Taiwo. I'm from the Center for Equitable AI and Machine Learning Systems at Morgan State University in Baltimore. So I'm a faculty researcher at the center. I'm also a lecturer at the EC department in the School of Engineering at Morgan. And I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Taiwo. We're happy to have you as well. Is there anyone else who is new that would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, Carrie Ann Myers. I'm the Associate Dean of Instruction, and I am at Drake State Community and Technical College in Huntsville, Alabama.
Thank you. Definitely happy to have you, and we look forward to seeing you next month at our workshop at Alabama A&M. Anyone else? All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our agenda for today. First, as I just noted, we are having a workshop, a two-day workshop in person on the campus of Alabama A&M University in officially Normal, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. That takes place October 29th through 30th of this year. Registration has opened. You can scan the QR code there, or of course you can go to our website, mscc.org. There's a link that will take you there. You can also see the agenda, what we have planned. This one is a little different than what we normally do, in that we are also including a student component. So if you have students that are interested in research, especially if it's in climate science, but if you have students or environmental science, anything in that arena, if you have students that are interested in learning about computing in that arena, research computing, climate science studies, definitely have them, and they're in this area, definitely have them register. We have training coming in. There'll be a lot of important, valuable conversations for them. We also have someone coming from Cornell University to provide some training for them. So it's going to be a very unique opportunity for these students to engage, learn, and of course, the costs will be covered for them. So make sure they register. And if you are in this region, make sure you register and attend. We have our climate science program request for proposal office hours, or office hour, which will be next Thursday, October 3rd, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. QR code and link are on the screen. We will be holding an office hours, so you can ask any questions about the MSCC Climate Science Program and RFP requirements. We encourage you to attend for clarification or guidance on your proposal. So this is for those who are interested in applying to host and participate in our climate science program for next summer. All right, so now I'm going to start off with Anna Hunsinger and Larry Long, who are from MSCC. They're going to be sharing and discussing information about a survey that MSCC sent out earlier this year for AI. They're going to discuss the results of it, some follow-up opportunities and things like that. And then from there, we will go into Dr. Peter Taiwo, who is going to be talking about Morgan State University Center for Equitable Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Systems. All right. Anna, Larry.
Thank you, Leslie. If you want to stop sharing your screen, and then I'm going to ask you to bring it back up. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see many of you and see your names also. So really appreciate that you're here. As Leslie mentioned, there's no doubt that every day you're hearing the word AI, either in the news or in something that you're doing, or your students or staff or others are doing. So clearly, there's a lot of discussions about the, what is all of this means, and in particular, the impacts, if you will, and implications of AI's role in academia. Specific to our community, the MSCC community, I'm delighted that we get to have today, but certainly this is going to be an ongoing and persistent thread, if you will, theme. So with that said, as you all know, MSCC is these days significantly supported by funding from the National Science Foundation. And I bring this up because in my role as principal investigator, I've been often asked, so what is happening with the MSCC community relative to artificial intelligence, and in particular, artificial intelligence tools or other things that might be used both in the research arena, but also in the education arena. So, the question has not only been posed to me, but it's been something that has certainly been coming up in quite a number of conversations. So also, I want to say that something about this other thing that's happening, you may know already about this, but if not, I think it's important that just to set a little bit of context here too. In the United States right now, there is this thing called the National Artificial Intelligence Research Resource, NARE, okay? Currently, this is a concept for a shared national research infrastructure that can connect U.S. researchers and educators to responsible and trustworthy AI resources, as well as the needed computational data, software training, and educational resources to advance research, discovery, and innovation. The aim of this effort is to also ensure that artificial intelligence resources and tools are equitably accessible to the broad research and education communities in a manner that advances AI, trustworthy AI, and that protects privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. There's a lot going on behind this NARE, and currently it's important that I note it's a concept. It has many agencies that came together for that. Currently, this has not been funded at this point in time, but nonetheless, there's a lot of work that has happened, including work led by the National Science Foundation in this domain. The National Science Foundation determined that they wanted to also take the lead in organizing with partners also from the other federal agencies, and also with participation from other entities. They're leading a pilot for this effort. It's called the NARE pilot. I just put in the chat window the link where you can see what this is about. Again, the goals for this pilot, which by the way got set in motion earlier this year in January, are to also understand and address the researcher needs by also increasing access to a diverse ensemble, if you will, of AI-related resources. Again, that might include computational capabilities, AI-ready data sets, pre-trained models, and software systems and platforms. So anyway, NSF has launched this pilot. There's been quite a number of things happening through that, working groups, but also a lot of focus on researchers participating also in some capacity at this. Why am I bringing this? Because in looking at this, but also to the thing that I brought up before, that as principal investigator for the MSCC, getting questions as to where might the MSCC community participate? One of the things that is a reality is that when you look at the pages for the NAIR pilot, it is really apparent that there aren't many, in fact, very, very few, and at times kind of depending how deep you want to go into this, very few researchers or participants from our HBCUs or from our TCUs or from other minority serving institutions. So, you might wonder, well, why is that? And is there something to be done about this? So with that context, I think there's a lot of work and we want your input. Part of why we're here today, I want to share with you a little bit of an effort that we did is because we want to really also, before, it's one thing not to have a seat at the table, but if we are to represent, what Larry's going to do is just kind of walk you very quickly through so how was, the methods used through the survey, what we learned, and share with you a little bit of the key takeaways from this effort. Go ahead, Larry.
Okay. Yeah. So as Anna had stated, very kind of cursory level survey, really membership driven for us in our community to kind of gather some data points of what our community knew and how to be of best service as we move forward. So the outcomes that we have here are really, again, just being used to capture the community's voice on higher AI and higher education and inform some strategy within the MSCC. Next slide. So our methodology was very simple. 15-question survey. We used Qualtrics to distribute. Again, very internally driven in terms of question development and how we chose what we were going to ask to hopefully inform our efforts as we move forward. Our survey was distributed via email, but mainly with a QR code at our annual meeting. This is how we got a good wealth of our respondents. And that really helped, I think, get us over the mark that we needed to have some good generalizations about the community from there. AHEC also partnered with us in distribution of this because the focus, again, HBCUs and TCUs here, and we wanted to make sure that we had a voice within both communities as this came back. Next slide. So as we got the responses back, we ended up with a very, very good distribution. 115 total responses. We had 133 unique roles and positions, and that's because we allowed some people to indicate multiple roles within their institutions as we went forward from there. The majority of our responses came from academic researchers and faculty, as well as IT professionals. And our institutional types were also very, very good in terms of distribution and giving us a good idea of public versus private and also tribal as we went up from there. Majority of our responses, obviously from four-year HBCUs and TCUs as we went forward. Next slide. So what did we learn? We learned that our community does have some familiarity with AI, but it primarily lies within kind of grading tools and things from there. But we also learned that familiarity differs across our institutional classifications. We could not make any indications that HBCUs and TCUs had the same understanding, or that four-year institutions and two-year institutions had the same understanding, or even the same needs or wants of AI as we went forward. And then we asked a little bit more about kind of what they might be interested in terms of AI resources, and overwhelmingly came back as trainings, hands-on kind of trainings on resources that could help them in their day-to-days. And their least interest obviously was in kind of email communications and things from there. So if we get into the slides a little bit, next slide. We have some of the graphs we can look at here. This kind of gives you kind of an idea of what the distribution looked like. When you look at grading tools, four-year HBCUs kind of jump off of the board there, but you still see good distribution across two-year and four-year tribal colleges from there. I will note here, we had very small number of two-year HBCUs respond. And so when you see that number looking very low there, that is where that comes from that point. And we did have a couple, because it was open to our entire community, we did have a couple of PWIs and R1s respond, and that is what makes up that other category. But we, again, focusing on HBCUs and TCUs for our kind of analysis here. Next slide. What we saw the most familiarity with in terms of AI was machine learning. HBCUs overwhelmingly had the most kind of familiarity or somewhat familiar with that. You can also see that there is some unfamiliarity with HBCUs in that. So that's an interesting data point to note, that while it was the most recognized AI tool amongst those that we surveyed, there's still a great deal of unfamiliarity. This slide also depicts what I was talking about earlier about how you cannot draw generalizations between HBCUs and TCUs, because in this case, where there's somewhat familiarity to high familiarity with machine learning for HBCUs, that does not translate over to the four-year tribal colleges in this case. So making it a little harder to just throw out a blanket kind of statement or generalization about MSIs and this particular category. Next slide. So Anna talked about the NAIR on the front end. That's something we wanted to kind of drill down a little bit in terms of familiarity and get some ideas. So when we put this part together, it was tabled, and you'll see it when they're able to look at the information. But we asked about the NAIR specifically in conjunction with several other resources. And we even listed some of the individual open public resources that are housed on the NAIR page, such as like OpenAI, ChatGPT, DataBlocks, things like that. And it was interesting that we had some familiarity with those tools, but came back as very unfamiliar across the board as it related to NAIR as itself. So that's something interesting data point to figure out. Also, what is it about NAIR that our community is not latching onto, or is it not being communicated in a way that they're kind of retaining it from that point, but they're still using some of those resources that can be associated with this NAIR pilot program. Next slide. And then again, this is just a snapshot about what we had talked about the interest in things from there. Facilitated discussions, obviously, were something that they wanted to kind of move forward in with looking at kind of ethical consideration. Oh, I jumped ahead. I apologize. This is for ethical consideration. So one of our other findings in this whole conversation was that our community, while very pro AI, still thinks there's some ethical considerations that need to be discussed about before it's used or kind of widespreadly adopted as we look ahead. So that is another consideration that I think this kind of bleeds into the next slide. Where we start looking about why we have such an interest in those tools and developing policies and things like that. Our community very interested in it, but not always knowing what's out there. And so that leaves a question mark about how it could be used at this point as we move forward. Next slide. So, another very, very good thing to note here is that AI is really well received by the community as a whole. And almost every institution that we looked at saw it as a strategic priority, particularly those at four-year HBCUs, and saw it as having the ability to do multiple things in education as we move forward. But again, that ethical concern consideration seems to be a pause for a lot of our institutions and how they're going to use it. Still, even with that, AI is not going anywhere. It has staying power, and our community definitely sees it as a permanent fixture as we move forward. Next slide. So interesting to note here, again, such strong feelings, positive feelings about AI, but when we ask specifically about using AI in current research, overwhelmingly, the answer was no across the board, that people aren't using it currently. And I think that hits on something Anna had said earlier about identifying AI researchers in this community. So again, positive feelings, they definitely see it as a need and can do all kinds of things for research in higher education, however, not currently being used. Next slide. Again, this kind of highlights what we feel about the positive feelings about it being an effective solution, but not just effective solution, but a cost-effective solution. Didn't drill down to what that meant exactly from a cost-effective standpoint, whether it was replacing personnel or speeding up time or those kind of things. Maybe that can be considered from a larger, more robust survey. But again, positive feelings around this by classification. Next slide. And I believe, again, yeah, by position, as we looked here a little further, there is strong feeling across the board in all of these positions that it is a strategic priority as we go there. I always think this slide is interesting when you look at the C-suite cabinet level positions. You know, these are the positions that are often making these decisions. While there is strong agreement in that category, there's also a high amount of indifference that you don't necessarily see in all of the categories. And that indifference is interesting to note because, again, that's a lot of where the decision making comes out of those kind of positions from there. Next slide. And again, when we look at the classifications, this draws another consideration for us that you can't make this blanket statement across MSIs about priorities or those kind of things around AI. Here, very strategic priority for four-year HBCUs. When you look at your tribal colleges, again, that indifference is there. It's not necessarily noting that it is a strong priority at that point, or it's not noting that it's not. Next. And again, I guess that rounds us back out to the ethical consideration. And that seems to be across the board, regardless of institution or classification, that there is this ethical consideration of how we use this, how are we going to use it, what purpose and policies that seems to be unclear for our communities at this point. So kind of quick recap, there is a familiarity with AI resource tools. It is mainly within that AI grading tools at this point, and there is that unfamiliarity then with the NAIR and other system management tools. And while there is this perceived impact or future impact that AI has staying power, it's going to do great things. Currently, our community is not using it within research, nor didn't have any future plans necessarily stated at this point of those that were surveyed to use it at that point. And again, while institutions see it as a strategic priority, that is not across the board with all MSIs, as there is some difference there with HBCUs and TCUs. But that ethical consideration about how we use it seems to be widespread across the community, and maybe a pause to why it's not currently being used in certain research. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Larry, very much. If we can just take the slides down. Thank you, Leslie. So, you know, this gives you a bit of a glimpse into what we learn. Clearly, now there might be several things that might allow us now to perhaps go a bit deeper with our community in some of these questions or issues. At this point in time, we are evaluating what might be directed next steps, and the consortium leadership is discussing these as well as the staff. Very much interested in your input. I am going to put my email address in the chat window, so please reach out to me. Again, we're going to be sharing the full report of the survey with our community, so stay posted for that being available in the coming days. And for the time being, thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you a little bit of what we learned from this effort. Leslie, I'm going to hand it back to you to take us from here. Thanks.
Thanks, Anna and Larry. We're now ready for our presentation, our feature presentation from Dr. Taiwo at Morgan State University. So Dr. Taiwo, we are going to let you take over and go ahead and share your information about what Morgan is doing in AI.
Right. Let me just hope you can see my screen.
I can.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here to introduce to you the Center for Equitable AI and Machine Learning Systems at Morgan State University. We also call it Seamless, as in Seamless for short. So Seamless is focused on research and development around AI systems that are, it's not just going into research that is AI related, but equitable AI. And this comes out from the history of the university, Morgan State University. And today I'll give you an overview of what we do at the center and how collaborating with us can lead to even greater impact on the community that we serve. I'm glad to be presenting this to the MSCC and all the institutions represented here today. I hope this will serve as an irresistible invitation to collaborate with us. So I'll just go over our mission and vision statement quickly. So our mission at Seamless is to facilitate the research and development and deployment and verification of AI systems that are both socially responsible and equitable. So we also aim to ensure the public is well informed about how these intelligent technologies affect their well-being, their health, their prosperity. We do want to do this by enhancing the explainability of these AI systems. And our vision is to foster the development of standards, identify new methods, and advance innovative technologies that benefit everyone, both locally and actually globally as well. So Seamless is poised to serve as an interdisciplinary hub for thought leadership in applying fair and unbiased technology, while we're ensuring that it's used responsibly and for the greater good of everyone. So and part of our vision is that we want to be rooted in that scholarly stewardship by cultivating this vision that we have into the next generation of students and professionals across various industry and fields of study. So I'll go over a brief history of the center. In July 2022, the Morgan State University launched Seamless with $3.1 million, which was got from as funding from the state of Maryland. So the center represents an integral component of Morgan State's strategic plan to elevate itself from its current R2 status to very high research activity institution, which is R1. And the effort is to make this happen within the space of 10 years. So the center, Seamless, is built upon existing strengths in the university. So we had all these capabilities before in terms of research around predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning systems. And one notable lab that was doing that then is the data engineering and predictive analytics lab, that's DEPA lab, that's led by Dr. Kofi Nyako, who actually presented the proposal for creating Seamless. So this proposal was presented to a Blue Ribbon panel that was convened by the the Division for Research and Economic Development at Morgan State. This comprises of notable experts like Dr. Sylvester Gates and Eugene Deloach, who was the pioneer dean for the School of Engineering at Morgan. So they are set up to identify potential areas of excellence, which was referred to as the peaks of excellence at Morgan State. So the panel reviewed several proposals that were brought to them from various faculties at Morgan, and eventually they highly endorsed the establishment of a center that's focused on equitable and responsible artificial intelligence. And then the president of the university, the President David Wilson, then led the fit to leverage this endorsement from this Blue Ribbon panel to advocate for funding for this center with the state of Maryland. Now, to highlight the university's progress towards reaching the R1 classification goal. There has been significant increase in research grants and expenditures at Morgan State. For example, research expenditures have increased by $30 million in the past 4 years. And between 2022 and 2023, there was a 50% increase in research expenditures, which more than doubled the previous year. And currently, I know this is 2023 data, currently with 2023 data and updated data for 2024, we can see that we are getting close to the goal. But mind you, this is not the only metric that's used, but this just to showcase how much effort the university is putting at reaching that R1 goal. And I'm also we can see the result of a survey of science and technological capabilities and skills gathered across the university, specifically with Seamless and another center that was also in the making at Morgan, the CAP Center. So there is a significant gap in the number of researchers that have been attracted to the center and the university as a whole, with people that have capability in artificial intelligence compared to other areas. And if we deep dive, we'll see that we have a lot more people coming as skills in machine learning system, neural network, deep learning, natural language processing, and natural language processing, yes, NLP. So zooming back into Seamless, our goal includes conducting both theoretical and applied research in AI, focusing on socially responsible and trustworthy AI systems to solve complex real-world problems. The center is committed to addressing algorithmic bias in AI research and educating the public about the impacts of bias. The center also aims to increase diversity in the AI field by attracting underrepresented engineers and researchers. Additionally, the center strive to collaborate with other educational institutions, nonprofits, government, and industry partners to study and mitigate the effects of bias in the AI system. We focus a lot on selecting and approving projects that satisfy the research trust that has been set by the center, and that is around best practices, AI transparency, bias detection and remediation, misapplication of AI, and AI model stress testing. So we ensure that every project meets this criteria. And this describes our ethical framework revolving around responsible AI, security, privacy, equity, and governance. So we address and mitigate unintended biases while ensuring reliability, privacy protection, and accountability. Early this year, we hosted a national symposium on equitable AI, and that'll be our first. This attracted over 370 participants across various government agencies, nonprofits, and academic institutions. So we plan to make this an annual event. And as a matter of fact, we are planning towards that of the National Symposium for 2025 already. And I'm encouraging us to visit our website at morgan.edu/seamless to see how we can participate in that. I will share the links by the end of this presentation. So now to some of our recent projects and awards. So we have been recognized by several agencies, including NIH, NASA, NSF, and various DoD entities such as TRMC and Army Research Lab, and so on. So we also collaborate with other universities like the University of Maryland and Howard Universities on DoD-related projects. So there are centers within this university. And recently, also with Northeastern University, we're trying to build a proposal to create an NSF initiative that has to do with AI, setting up an AI institute. So the research that we engage at the centers can be grouped into these 8 areas. That includes public health monitoring, ethical decision-making, data privacy, cybersecurity, vision sensor, predictive analytics. So autonomous system is a new focus area. It's not that we are just starting doing research in that area. There have been researches all over, but recently we are trying to create that an area that's to focus on, and I'm actually going to highlight a flagship project that towards the end of this presentation, that has to do with autonomous systems research. So one of our research projects focuses on enhancing patient care and outcomes, and that is in development of cognitive twins, which is the digital representations of human decision-making system. So a multi-architecture model is being trained using COMPAS recidivism data from Broward County in Florida. So the model has been able to achieve the ability to identify when a decision is biased. So our next steps in this project is to refine the model so that it's not just recognizing bias, but also making corrective decisions. Another project I would like to highlight is the one we're engaging with consumer reports. So this involves the development of an early warning system to detect consumer products defects before they lead to injury, or maybe at the start that injury is being reported on that product. So what we're doing here is to use social media data analytics and natural language processing to identify patterns in complaints, allowing us to predict potential product failures before they even occur. So this system is designed to be robust against noise. Of course, if you're using social media data, you're going to have to battle with that. So employing AI models, we're able to filter noise and then be able to extract relevant information that are actionable. Another project I'd like to share is that of our AI and ML systems workbench. Yeah, this is one of the projects we started earlier on at the start of the center. So this is a scalable cloud-based framework that supports the development and benchmarking of AI models. So we built a framework that integrates various cloud services, including AWS, IBM, Google, and Azure, to allow us seamlessly orchestrate and compare AI models with respect to particular tasks that I want those models to perform, and then compare their performances. And this is to help software developer to be able to incorporate AI system into their development, and also compare the performance and then make a choice about which particular model in the cloud that is most suitable to whatever they are developing. So the work I just described actually birthed another project where we say, okay, if we can compare the performances of these AI models in the cloud, so what about comparing, what about trying to detect biases across these models in the cloud? So this project has to do with the algorithm bias detection in AI vision systems. Actually, bias is a concerning phenomenon in all AI models. So we just starting with vision systems, and some other projects have come up after that to look at bias even in large language models, ChatGPT and other LLMs that are coming up. We try to see how sensitive they are to different accents even within the English language spectrum. In the realm of medical imaging, medical image analysis, so one of our research efforts involves feature extraction techniques as shown in the pipeline on the slide. This is to capture functional, connectivity, shape, and appearance-based features, which represent different aspects of the brain and other anatomical structures. So these extracted features can be used in machine learning pipeline fed into models like the KNN, SVM, neural networks, and therefore to enhance the accuracy of medical diagnosis classifications. Now, finally, I want to highlight our work in autonomous system. So one of the work is that of it has to do with student-led projects involving the use of hand gestures to control UAVs or drones. This project is still in its early stage, but it's a great example of how of the innovative work coming out from this area of research. And now, maybe finally, again, I want to mention one of our flagship projects, which is the autonomous wheelchair system. This project is being performed in collaboration with another center at Morgan State University, the National Transportation Center, and BWI Airport. So this project aims to help physically challenged individuals to navigate airports more easily. So what I'm going to do here is just to play the YouTube video that is prepared to advertise this project.
Every year, millions of passengers with disabilities navigate the bustling corridors of airports. For many, it is a challenging journey requiring frequent assistance. But what if there was a way to transform this experience into one of independence and comfort? This was the inspiration behind the autonomous wheelchair, an innovative transportation technology that promises greater mobility and freedom for disabled travelers. The National Transportation Center at Morgan State University teamed up with the Center for Equitable AI and Machine Learning to develop a wheelchair that sees and understands its environment. Our engineers equipped a conventional powered wheelchair with advanced sensors, cameras, and control systems, all designed to navigate busy transportation hubs safely and efficiently. Using LiDAR and computer vision, the current iteration of the wheelchair navigates public spaces along a predefined guide, shuttling riders from the airport's entrance to the security check and onto the gate. Future iterations of the wheelchair will navigate airport terminals without a guide, offering passengers even greater flexibility and freedom of movement with machine learning. Operating at a comfortable walking speed, the wheelchair offers a secure, dependable way to travel through busy terminals without the need for an attendant. This autonomy not only empowers users, but also seamlessly integrates into the bustling flow of airport traffic. Passengers will also be able to operate the wheelchair with the aid of a mobile app, giving users the ability to select their destination with an intuitive user interface. Currently in its 4th iteration and deployed in a pilot at Baltimore Washington International Airport, the wheelchair represents a powerful improvement in quality of life for disabled passengers. It's a glimpse of a more accessible future, not just at airports, but in hospitals, museums, shopping centers, and more. Morgan State University's autonomous wheelchair is not just moving people, it's moving barriers. Join us as we create a more inclusive and innovative future at BWI.
Yeah, that's one of the projects I'm really excited about. So the current iteration of this project involves the wheelchair following a predefined route, but now with the addition of more sensors, especially LiDAR, wants the next iteration to give the wheelchair more freedom to move around. So this is being continuously tested at the BWI Airport. And just to wrap up this presentation, I'll just talk about the other research and in addition to our research endeavors, other things that the center is involved with, especially with relating to our immediate community. And this includes the outreach initiative, whereby we partner with the Pratt Library in Baltimore to host hands-on AI activities. We also run a national summer AI institute where we bring in our college students and high school teachers. So we pair these students with high school teachers to engage in predefined interdisciplinary AI research projects. So we also host speaker series, seminars, hackathons, and workshops. We really love to collaborate with you all on any of these initiatives. We can learn more about our research and activities on our website at morgan.edu/seamless, or you can also reach out to the center director who really wants to be here today, but because of other engagements that has to do with the center and the visit from state government, he's not able to be here. So I welcome you all to collaborate with us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing all of that information, Dr. Taiwo. I'm pretty fascinated by all the work that Morgan's doing, and definitely glad that you were able to share that with us on behalf of Dr. Nyarko. Is there anyone who has any questions? You can put it in the chat, or you can just come off mute and ask. I'm surprised, no questions, but that could mean that you did an excellent job and answered all of the questions in advance, so they don't have any.
I have a question.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Dr. Taiwo, thank you so much for sharing this set of incredible things that are going on at your institution. This is quite outstanding. I know there's going to be questions about your upcoming conference. So, it'd be really great if we can support in spreading the word to our community. But also, I'm just curious, 2 questions, one simple one, and then a little more complicated one afterwards. The first one is, for how long has this center been in motion? And then the second question is relative to what I brought up about now the efforts at let's start with the National Science Foundation in terms of its current pilot. I'm just curious, are you, you should be in it, I guess that's what I'm saying. And I'm just curious if you, is this the first time that you're hearing about this effort through today's conference or opportunity here? So first question first, for how long has the center been? And then you can tackle the second question, please.
All right, yeah, thank you for those questions. To answer the first, the center started in 2022.
Okay.
With the funding from the state of Maryland. That's $3.1 million funding. That's how it started. But before then, there have been several activities on campus around AI and machine learning systems. So several labs have been adopting that in some of their research. One of them was the one I was part of, DIPA Lab. That's predictive analytics, data engineering and predictive analytics lab. So we've been doing some work that has to do with AI and machine learning. That was actually when we started the first project I presented that has to do with cloud systems. So it was an initiative with a center in University of Maryland, ARLIS. So that was DEPR. Then there are a few other labs also that are trying to, do something around AI before that 2020. So then because of the initiative of Morgan State University to make sure that they get to R1, so one of the initiatives was to look for, to talk about how to set up these research centers, and then invited faculties and labs like DIPA Lab that had interest in doing research more vigorously. So then we presented this, DIPA Lab presented that idea of Center for AI and Machine Learning Systems, which the panel that was set up at that time actually gave a good approval about. So so that's how we started. To answer the second question about NEAR, we heard about that, and actually wanted to chip in at that time that we already dropped a proposal to the NEAR pilot, and we just waited for a response. So we heard about it, we've submitted a proposal, the center submitted a proposal.
Okay.
And I actually believe it's not only one proposal. I'm talking about the one I know about. I think some other labs did that as well. So
Thank you.
probably
That's good to know.
I should be asking because we've not had anything back. So yeah, I got some information from what you talked about. It's like a lot of things are still going on, funding issue and all that. Yeah, so yeah, we are also still waiting.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Are there any more questions or comment?
Yeah. My name is Atma Sahu. I'm from Kapini State University, Department of Mathematics and Computer Science. And we definitely would like to collaborate with you, Dr. Tao. And we have several initiatives going on. And we are very heavy at this moment on cyber security systems. We have a lab, we just hired some faculty. But as you know that AI is not untouched by any of the field, whether it is a social science or a STEM area or anything else. Where there is a data, there is a AI. So I really commend. And the second point of comment is, I hope that Anna and Leslie and other people use Morgan State model as a model and try to raise the level of awareness of the work done by Morgan State in such a way that it becomes national, and that will certainly will tie up with the goal of Morgan State becoming R1. And sometime soon, if we, as a Kapini State is collaborating, then we have the capacity and capability to at least be tried for R2. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sao. I really appreciate your kind words. Yeah, so yeah, definitely we love to collaborate with you with Carbon State. I think we're in the same city, right? So we are neighbors. So yeah, I like us to talk more about that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So there's a question in the chat from Damian Rusa, and it says, first, thanks for the interesting and helpful presentations. One question, if it's appropriate, and this might be for both from the survey and for you, Dr. Taiwo, are there cybersecurity or cyber infrastructure concerns that AI and AI research pose? So concerns about cybersecurity and cyber infrastructure as it relates to AI.
Yeah, so yeah, just to chip in my own idea about the question. Yeah, definitely there are concerns that has to do with cybersecurity. Then we're talking about cybersecurity research that has to do with AI. Yeah, definitely. I was only able to highlight some of our projects. So one of the projects that came to my mind is the one that has to do with security within blockchain network. We're leveraging AI to be able to improve vulnerability detection. So as much as that could be security concern with the use of AI, we can also actually leverage AI also to improve security measures across cyber infrastructure generally. So it's both ways. Yeah, AI opens some door in terms of challenges to security, which a lot of research is going on that one. And at the same time, we can still leverage different aspects of AI machine learning systems. Even there is some work that has to do with the use of LLM to do information retrieval from expert advisors, which could be documents or human, to be able to in real time get solution about tackling a specific vulnerability that could come within a network data. Both static data and data in motion, just networking. So there are a lot of going on with the fusing of AI with security, which we don't have time to talk about now.
Okay, we have a comment in the chat from Ray. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. No question, just an excited comment as someone who personally utilizes wheelchair services at airports and travels frequently. I appreciate the intentional work shared.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind comments.
I have my hand up, but my name is Linda Hayden, and there's one other member of the NSF Science Gateway Center of Excellence, Sandra Geisen, who's with us on this call. And we had the responsibility of setting up the NAIR portal with Science Gateway and have a supplement to kind of look to the future for the next 5 years to determine what kind of services should be available through that portal. And we're doing some surveys, and we're doing some other outreach to elicit, comments and input. And I was just wondering if you would be interested in sharing through one of those vehicles what your needs might be, if you can see, 5 years into the future for what might be offered through the NAIR portal.
Sorry, if I get the question very well, it's about the wheelchair project.
Not the wheelchair project. Well, it could be the wheelchair project or any of your research projects that you have going on now, in terms of what kind of services you see needed in the next 5 years. So for that kind through the NAIR portal.
Yes, so yes, so for that with NAIR, like we had what we submitted was submitted around the fact that we understand that NAIR will be able to give us a lot more high performance compute infrastructure. So there are some projects that, in fact, including the wheelchair project and some other probably autonomous systems where we will need edge devices. We need to put models in edge devices that will not be able to, maybe they won't have enough compute, but they need to be updated. So the main work will have to be done in high compute facility, and then the updating of the model will be it will be done from that, from the central server to the edge devices. So in future, we know a lot. In 5 years, a lot will change because of the rapid evolution of the technology surrounding AI. But what I think about is, I normally think about going beyond just thinking about AI, because if we know the reason why AI is so popular right now is because we have high-end compute facility, or devices are becoming smaller and all that, and then it keeps me thinking about using different quantum computing, using solutions like quantum computing, which is, we are not there yet. We have the idea, and is it going to even be needed that we need a central server somewhere? Probably we can have a very small chip that will have a capacity like quantum computing compute capacity, so that our edge devices will be enough to even do what all those servers will be doing. So yeah, in 5 years, it should be more about how much can we improve the capacity of our compute such that we can have a more decentralized solutions to some of these problems.
All right. Thank you for that answer and that question, Dr. Hayden. We are a little past our time, but that just means that everyone was actively engaged in the conversation and the information being shared. So I'm glad to hear that. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next month. I can tell you now that our conversation next month is going to focus on the role of libraries on college campuses and how they help enhance technology and research. So we look forward to for you all to join us in October. Thank you again. Have a great afternoon.